David, it is good to be back with you and doing these videos for the American Fire team. And today we are talking about everybody's favorite topic, which is communication.
Right?
So the title is, What Does Good Communication Look Like to You? And the title is also our question. So David, what does good communication look like to you?
Good communication is when you have two sides, or at least two. You can have more people involved with the conversation, but you have to communicate clearly, and you have to answer the other person's questions. Try to, if they're not quite sure what they're asking, lead them to try to help them. Determine what they're trying to do, and whether it's communication, we get a designer that is working on a project. Well, they've got to work with engineers and architects, and sometimes they speak a totally different language. In order for our people to do their job, though, they've got to communicate clearly back with those people, whether it's the owner or the architect or an engineer. Then they've got to communicate properly to them, and then they have to communicate properly back to us so that we understand. When we're in the sales world, a customer is putting together in a general contractor has changed substantially from 50 years ago. 50 years ago, when you hired a general contractor to build your house, they actually managed the crews, and they were all employees of that GC, and they did everything from one end to the other. Well, now they're literally just putting all of the numbers together, adding management fees and that sort of stuff, coming up with a price, and then they're subcontracting all of the work. Well, if they're subcontracting all of the work, they don't necessarily understand fire protection, fire detection. They may not understand, electrical codes. That's what they've got professionals for. So when our sales team is talking to the customer may not actually know what they need, much less want. So our sales team needs to properly communicate back to them, back and forth. Lead them down the right path of what we know as professionals, and make sure that they are comfortable knowing that they're going to get a complete project or complete product, and that it'll be code compliant, and it'll be, have the integrity that it's supposed to at the end of the day.
Yeah. So you kind of started walking us through there. It's a conversation. It's a back and forth. It's a way for us to, and then you use the word understanding, right? It's really getting connected in and around that understanding piece. But one of the things that I liked is that you said it's a conversation, and a lot of our communication happens all over the place. And we've often said in an organization, communication is like oxygen. And if you don't have it, everybody suffocates, right?
Yep.
What are some of those places where you see really good communication, that engaging in conversation needing to happen for things to go well at AFS, with your clients, with the team internally? What are some of those places that are super critical to make sure we're communicating?
Well, I think, at the beginning of the job, when we're scoping a project and making sure that we're, selling the right product, very critical there. I think the key most critical time is, we call it a scope meeting, and that is when our sales team sits down with the project management team. Whether it's new construction, service, there's got to be a handoff between the sales team and the people that are actually going to oversee the installation. And I think that's probably the most critical time for communication.
Because you got to set expectations. You got to lay out the entire game plan. That's kind of where my brain took me. Is that right?
Yeah. Lay out the entire the entire game plan, and perception's everything. And what you think we should sell versus what I think we should sell versus what the salesman actually sells could be three totally different things. And
so it's really that shared understanding, kind of reality. You're setting reality, shared understanding of what's needed and what's going on.
if you call me and you say, "Hey, David, I got some money here. Would you go out and buy me a sports car?" Okay. Now, in your mind, you have a bright red Porsche that pops straight in. And
That's good. Yeah.
in my mind, you get a bright yellow Mazda. Okay, what is
Okay.
so you have to have the specs. Okay, what brand, what model? We're proposing and selling stuff per a code that our
Mm,
customer really doesn't know that well anyway, and it's up to our sales team to know if they want. Craig knows a lot of our customers. Our sales team talks to them. We know which ones like concealed heads in their public areas, and we just put that in the bid. Now, we also know that sometimes that makes our numbers look a little different, but we have to make sure we educate our customer, communicate with our customer, and say, hey, yeah, I get it. We're 3 or 4 points high, but keep in mind we've got all of your requirements in there where our competition doesn't know those.
mm,
So they're cheaper, but they're going to be more by the time they add what you like to see. So I think that's where it's very critical for the sales team to turn it over to the project management team and make sure that they understand exactly what they sold. And that's a great example. Craig could put together a proposal for a customer that we know that they specifically like things this way.
hmm
And then our project management team has never worked with that customer before, and our designer doesn't know, so he just does per code. And
hmm
then we get out there and we've got most of the system installed, and the superintendent walks up and says, hey, we're supposed to have concealed heads in this area. Well, concealed heads change everything. It changes the elevation of your pipe, changes where you install them a little bit. It's a big difference, and they're a lot more expensive. And if
hmm
we've already got them installed, now it's even more of a problem because we didn't communicate at that scope meeting to make sure that the project management team knew that that's what our sales team had sold.
Same thing as before. It's really getting out ahead of things, making sure kind of everything is in the light. We're clear on all of these pieces, and then being able to work at different levels through the client, through the scope meeting. I'm assuming you and I could say this. It's even day to day on the job of
Sure.
communicating exactly what we're trying to get to today and how that's going to play out. There's a relational component to this. It's not merely an exchange of a bunch of characters and information.
Agreed. Agreed. And
Awesome.
sales, I mean, it's so easy to sit there and I could send out 10 or 15 emails in 10 or 15 minutes. And hey, just following up on this job, following up on that job. Hey, how do we look over here? I could do that, and I could probably have most of the customers taken care of in a half hour. And if I pick up the phone and start calling, I'm probably going to get a few customers taken care of all day long. But it's those relationships. It's the opportunity to talk to them and see what's going on. And I think that they enjoy that as much as you do. They enjoy having that personal attention. They enjoy when you ask about their kids, or they just it's that personal connection. And
Yeah.
whether I'm around rodeo, I love. My wife gives me a hard time. She has to tell me it's time to go about 30 minutes before it's really time to go, because she knows I'm going to stop and talk to everybody between me and the door. And it's fun. It's you get to visit with people and get to know them, and get to be friends with them.
Yeah, that personal vesting, and it makes all the difference, and it's powerful in and outside of work. David, thank you for walking us through what does good communication look like to you, and really for taking the time to talk, communicate with me
There you
for
go.
everybody at AFS to see. So thank you, awesome, and until next time, we'll see you later.
All right. See you next time, John.